Hello and welcome to Find Your Voice, where we interview thought leaders from our community at Podcast Guesting Pro. I'm Cassie Welford, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Nicola Anderson. Nicola founded Capacity to Grow to help owners of scaling SMEs remove business dependency across structure, team, systems and processes so the company no longer relies on one person as the main decision point. With 25 years in senior operational leadership, responsibility for portfolios of more than 50 million, and experience of managing teams of more than 150 people, Nicola brings a deep, practical view about what keeps business owners trapped inside the day-to-day. Her work is built around one powerful idea. Freedom comes when you stop being the only answer in your business. And today we'll be speaking about how founders can regain time, control, and confidence by building businesses that can operate and grow without everything coming back to them. Nicola, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Cassie. It's lovely to be here. I'm excited to be on the podcast and to be talking to you today. Thank you.
Oh, we're so happy to have you here and can't wait to get to know more about your business and about your journey. Love to start with asking, what was the moment or the pattern in your 25 years of operational roles that made you decide to focus specifically on founder dependency?
That's a really good question. I think it's one of those things that we all know. If you stop and think that what's the biggest blocker in my business to stop it from scaling? I kind of When I set up my business, my freelance business 5 years ago, I was I sat down and thought how I can help people, because I know I can help people. I have been helping people for many years, but how do I tell founders? How do I tell CEOs? How do I tell business owners what it is? How do I package that so people understand that I can come in and help and make a huge difference? Because I know I can. Lots of people talk about founder freedom, and I talk about founder freedom too. I think it's really, really powerful. And I was kind of thinking about why do we do what we do? Uh, and really, a lot of us, particularly those that have built our own businesses, founders, entrepreneurs, as I say, business owners, we've built a business because we want a certain kind of life. So if you look at it from a 360 point of view, we've made a decision that perhaps, maybe we've never been in the corporate world, and we've always been entrepreneurial, and we've always wanted to build something more. We've wanted to build something that's ours, something that we own, something that we control. Or maybe we have been in the corporate world like I did for many years. And we've got to a point where you're thinking, actually, I quite like to go out there and do this on my own now, or to help more people. When you think back to that, it's about creating a life that you actually want to live. And then the business enables you to have that life. Now, for many entrepreneurs, the business is the life, right? They're all in, and it's that's what floats their boat. That's what excites them. That's what gives them the buzz. That's their flow. And, their business is their everything. But I do think at some point on their journey, you get to that point where you think there probably is a little bit more to life. There's a little bit more to business. I still want this amazing business I've created. I'm scaling it. I'm maybe working towards an exit event, or it's maybe enabling me to live a certain sort of lifestyle. But actually, I want a bit more time with my family, time with friends, time traveling. To do that, I need more time in my life. I need more time, more flexibility, and more capacity to grow as an individual and to be able to continue to grow my business as well. And see, that's the difference as well, particularly with entrepreneurs, is that it's not a case of they wanting one or the other. And, we all talk about work-life balance, whether you be in corporate, whether you be, a business owner. And work-life balance means different things to different people. And I know some people they almost get the ick at that phrase as well, actually. But I think what it's about really is enablement, and it's about looking at that 360 view of your life. What is the business that, I want? What is the life that I want? How is my business going to enable me to have the life that I want? And when I started then looking at that a bit deeper in how am I going to articulate to people that I can help them achieve this, it kind of all came back to the fact that the thing that keeps entrepreneurs trapped in their businesses, business owners trapped in their businesses, is the fact that the businesses have become dependent on them. Because most businesses, most entrepreneurs, I don't know what the percentage is. It'd be quite interesting to find out, actually. Start off as one. They start off as a as a person of one, they've got an idea, they've maybe got some particular expertise, and they start to build something. It goes well, they build it over a number of years, they maybe bring other people into the business, perhaps they outsource to start with and they bring in a team. But that business grows around them, and there's the center of everything. And so, and plus, it's their business, it's their baby. They've created it, right? And it's like, so for them, it's very precious to them and they don't want to let go. And they maybe have a bit of a challenge trusting other people to look after their business as well as they might. And so really that all comes back to that fact that you've created something great, you've built it around you, or it's naturally evolved around you. You are the center of your business. Your business is dependent on you. And it's to be able to create more freedom and flexibility in your life, to have the life that you've built your business for. You need to get out of that founder dependency box. And that's where the founder dependency comes in. You can't be that person that everything comes to, everything relies on, if you don't want to be in your business, 365 days of the year, 24/7. You have to, if you want to find that balance, if you want to find that capacity to have something more in your life, you've got to create it. It doesn't just happen. And to do that, we need to look at the founder dependency within your business, and we need to look at what comes to you, what sits with you, and the why it sits with you. And then we can work from there to try and change that dynamic and bring in the things needed to do that. And that's where I come. I use my frameworks to help achieve that. So that's where I kind of realized founder dependency is actually the real key thing in a business that stops an entrepreneur from um, reaping the rewards of the business and all their hard work, and being able to go out there and enjoy what they've created. And like I say, people create businesses for different reasons, but we all need some balance in our lives to be able to be the best version of ourselves and give that to our businesses and to those people away from our business who matter to us too. Yeah.
Thank you, Nicola. That's such an insightful answer. And as you say, so many people are focused on growing the business, growing the turnover, but something that you can't put a price on is quality time, to choose,
Absolutely.
how you choose to spend that time.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's
Absolutely.
a really fundamental
Yeah.
part. And why shouldn't you enjoy the business that you've created?
Absolutely. And it's not that people can't have both. I think that's the key thing. You
Mm,
can have both.
yeah,
You can grow a business and scale a business to an exit event, or to leave a legacy, or you can do that. But you will burn out if you're doing that all the time. If you're just 100% in your business all of the time, eventually you will burn out, or at the very least, you won't be giving your business the full version of you, because you've not got that balance in your life where you're taking time out to recharge, reset, focus, and think. Because the thing with entrepreneurs is that they have amazing brains. Business owners, they have the ideas that you get, the okay, oh gosh, what we really should do, that this is the next step, this is what we can do. And to see other opportunities, see other ventures that actually could be something really quite special, something really quite interesting you really want to get involved in. When you're stuck in the day dealing with everything that's coming at you, there's no thinking time. You're reacting all the time. And I think Daniel Priestley talks about, have time in silence. Go for a walk in nature. Spend time in the car without the radio on, or without a podcast on, or without music on. Give yourself space to think. And that's when the best ideas come. And if you haven't got space and capacity in your life for that, it's not to say you won't have a successful business. Of course, you've got a successful business, but what else could you achieve if you created that space coming out of that founder dependency box can give you? So, yeah.
love that. Very
Yeah.
valuable. Give yourself time
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And
in
to
such a
create,
busy
be
world where
creative
we
and think
just seem
creatively.
to be connected at every
Yeah.
opportunity, to actually put your phone down, shut the laptop, and let's say step outside in nature, so valuable. You might get your best business idea within that space.
Absolutely. And I think that's often the case. It's so easy to fill all of our time, isn't it? And if you're used to being in your business and everything coming at you 100 miles an hour, and that's your state, your natural state, then it's like you're used to running 100 miles an hour, being constantly challenged, your brain constantly whirring. So when you do step away from work, you're still in that mode. It takes a long time to decompress. That's not really healthy, and that doesn't give you the chance to be the best version of you for you, your family, your people around you, for your business to continue to keep it growing, scaling, moving forward. If that's kind of the direction that you want to take your business on, really, yeah, sure.
Absolutely. And you say founder dependency is often structural rather than simply
Yes.
a people problem. What is the
Oh yeah,
typical
100%.
what are the typical structural fixes that you would
Okay.
recommend first?
Yeah, we often default when you've got when you've got a busy business and you think, I need more time, I need to buy back my time. I must hire somebody. That's our kind of, that can be the default. I must get somebody else in. I need to hire somebody, whether that's outsourcing to somebody else, somebody that's freelance, or whether that's actually hiring somebody full time. Uh, we automatically think that's the solution. In my mind, that's the last thing you do. What I've learned over the years is if you hire somebody because you're really busy right now, if there's too much on your plate, you need help. Not every time, but there's a fair chance you'll hire somebody. You'll do it in a rush for starters because you're desperate. You really need that help now, and the little red flags or the little things at the back of your head when you're interviewing people think, I think it'd be okay. You hire somebody and those think it'd be okays, they become bigger as time goes by, and maybe that person might be great, but they don't quite align or fit for your business. So that happens quite often if you rush to hire. Um, and equally, you hire somebody because you've got an immediate need. Maybe there's a project, or maybe there's like, I need a CRM system. I've got to get somebody needs to come and help me do this. I've got too much information. So you get somebody in, they fix that immediate problem. And then once that's fixed, you haven't really spent the time thinking about what that role was going to be long term. You've dealt with the immediate challenge. So they fix that problem. Brilliant, fantastic. They might be a great hire, as in a great person. They really do align and fit with your business. However, now they're coming to you saying, what do you want me to do? What should I do next? What should we do next? And and they're defaulting back to you. So all you've done is give yourself another thing on your plate. Whereas if you just stopped and thought about what does the structure of the business need to be, then you would have had a much better idea about the type of people you need to hire, if you need to hire at all. And this is where I use my framework. So my DASH framework really helps to get a lens on your business and understand where attention is needed. Structure can be also, because structure can be your people, it can be your systems, it can be your processes, it can be your automations, it can be the business model of the business, in how the business functions. Um, Everything that creates and makes your business forms part of the structure of your business, how you operate day to day, and the direction that your business is going on. When I take people through the DASH framework, what we do is we sit down and we look at what is actually coming to the founder. So D is for delegate. What are you dealing with every day? Let's take it out your brain. Let's let's put it on a piece of paper. Let's have a look at this. Let's actually figure out what's coming to you. And quite often it is pretty much everything. Everything has some sort of touch point with the founder. And we kind of list that out and we look at what those things are and what really should sit with a CEO, a founder, a business leader, and what are the things that really you shouldn't really be getting involved in these things. These things shouldn't really touch you. They should happen without you. And we work through that we compartmentalize everything that's in the delegation box to figure out how we're going to deal with things. And quite often from that, we'll see there's things happening in the business, especially as the business has evolved and grown, that aren't actually needed anymore, or perhaps they're being duplicated. You might be using a system to do one thing to give you information, and the data in that system is you can get that data is somewhere else. Why are you doing that twice? Or why are you running 3 reports? Or, why is somebody doing this activity? Or why do you still do that? You don't need to do that anymore, because your business is at a stage where it doesn't need you to be doing so much outreach because you've got so many leads coming in. We need to do a better job of nurturing the leads you've got potentially. So there might be activities that, that can be stopped or at least paused. And that's what the S in DASH stands for. What activities can we stop doing? I've missed the A, sorry, but A is automation, because if you've got a task that you do more than one occasion, a repetitive task, then that that task should be automated. There's so many ways we can automate now, right? We've got AI. If you don't know how to automate it, just ask AI. Have a chat with Claude, whichever is your preference, and say, like, this is a repetitive task in my business. At the moment, I'm involved in this task. I don't think that this is a good use of my time. How can I automate this in my business to give me back time and make my business run more efficiently? And you'd be surprised how many things you can do. And the way with AI, at the moment is, we're moving at such a speed now, right? It's like what we couldn't do a month ago, we can do now. And it's just going to keep going like this. The speed it's becoming incremental. It's going faster and faster. So there are so many things in your business that you could automate now that would give you back time, give you back capacity in your business. And it's not a case of introducing AI for AI's sake. It's not a case of trying to automate everything, because that's not going to give you a business that is going to still have that human element that people are going to want to connect with. But there are going to be tasks in your business that you could automate. Now, it might just be that AI says, oh, you need a CRM system. You can get one off the shelf. You can use Pipedrive, HubSpot, whatever. There's so many solutions out there for SMEs. But I guarantee there'll be something in your business that you really shouldn't be doing manually, or your team shouldn't be doing manually, that you can automate. There'll be at least one or two things, I'm sure. And so we look at delegation, we look at what we can automate, possibly with AI, possibly with existing systems that are out there. We look at what we can stop doing to give you back time. And only then, once we've gone through those, do you actually need to hire anybody? And when I say hire, it might be somebody full-time in your business. Yep, it might be. Or it might be that you need to outsource to somebody that actually you're at a point where you don't need this person full time, or it's not a permanent need you have. It might be a 3-month retainer that you need with somebody to take control of something for you, put some systems in place, put some processes in place, perhaps. Or it might be something that you perhaps at the moment you need a COO. Maybe you're at that point where you need somebody alongside you to help you grow the business. You don't have an SLT as yet, maybe not quite at that stage. You have good managers, good people in your team, but you need that one person you can trust with everything, that you can really confide in, that can really help you grow the business and can take care of it when you're not in it. And you might need a COO. And that's where perhaps you can't afford a COO, a really good COO yet. Maybe that's just a little bit beyond the budget right now. So wouldn't it be better to have somebody in the business a couple of days a week, rather than not have anybody at all that you can rely on, you can bounce ideas about, that can take some of the operational aspects of the business away from your plate and take on for you? And so there's various different ways where you can bring extra ability, extra resource into the business that isn't just purely hiring a person. And when we come back to what we talked about at the beginning, where you've got a peak in the business, it's really busy, there's something that needs dealing with, and you hire that person, like I say, it may well not be the right person. And if you actually stop and pause and look at those different elements of your business and how the business is then structured. So when we do get to hiring, it's a case of who is everybody in your business? What are their roles and responsibilities? Have you got all your square pegs in square holes? Have you got all your round pegs in round holes? Because I guarantee you, as your business has grown, you've got square pegs in round holes and round pegs in square holes. And we've probably all been there at some point in our lives. And you've got probably people in your team with masses of potential that perhaps you aren't, releasing that potential so much. And maybe we've got people in the business who outgrown them, or they've outgrown the business. It's one of those things we've been putting off, and actually we probably need to have some grown-up conversations. So we need to look at the team that you currently have, and if you've got a small team, still, let's have a look. Let's see what are the tasks in the business that actually need to happen. Where should these sit? And then what does the business look like? What are we aiming for? In the next 5 years, what are you trying to achieve with your business? What size of business do you want? Are we working towards exit? Are we working towards selling the business? Or are you looking to acquire more businesses and grow it? Are you looking just to stabilize and you've got where you want to be and this is fantastic? We want to stabilize it. We want to protect it for the future. All of those different scenarios will require a different team to get you there or to keep you there. And so it's looking at the team you have now, the team that you're going to need, and how are we going to get from one to the other, and looking at, looking at progression, looking at the roles that we're going to need in the future, the roles we have now, looking at people in your team, thinking, okay, that person has got great potential and I'm going to structure it so that we can develop that person to that role so that they'll step up in another 12 months, 18 months time, and we'll work with them to develop them. And all those actions, all those things that you're doing, all those lenses you're putting on your business are going to help you build a business that isn't purely dependent on you. And one of the things that kind of happens quite often when I talk to CEOs is that fear. The fear of like, I just can't. They built something. They put their blood, sweat, and tears and money into this. They don't want to kind of like this. You know, they're scared of walking away and what might happen. Even if they do trust their team, it's precious to them. And so it's a case of you need to make sure you trust the people in your team. And to do that, they need to fully understand what they own, where their decision rights are, what sits with them, what doesn't, when to involve the founder, and the founder, business owner, they also need to be able to have the visibility of their business. So when they're not in the business, I'm going to take a month off. I'm going to be really bold here. I'm going to take a month off. I'm going to step out of the business in August. I'm going to go traveling with my family. My business is at a place where I know I can do that. They'll be fine for probably a week, and then they're going to be getting really like, oh, is everything okay? I really should check my emails. So it's about giving visibility. So making sure that they've got dashboards, they've got the statistics, they've got the numbers, they've got the data that kind of tells them that everything is okay. And to have that one trusted person that when you are off traveling, if that is your thing, if that's what you're striving for, that, you know, you have that one person that will WhatsApp you, you have that trust, that belief that they will let me know if they need me. I can trust them to run the business without me. And if there's a message from this person, I know it's important and I'll do whatever they ask me to do, whether it's to check an email, etc. But I've built a team I can trust. I can step out of this and I can let them run with the business. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a little bit of time because it's a mindset shift as well. So it's about having the right structure and the right people in the right places with the right processes, systems, visibility that gives you that ability to trust your business will be fine without you in it. And it will actually continue to grow as well. So the momentum doesn't disappear the minute you step out the door. So you can start having that life that you built that business for. And the other thing to bear in mind as well is if you're the person that's in your business that everything depends on, and you are thinking about scaling to exit at some point, the value of your business will be greater if it isn't dependent on you. I'm no M&A expert, but I've worked with enough people and been in the scale up industry for long enough to know that, yeah, if your business is dependent on you, that will affect the value. You need a business you can step away from and it still functions, and that will add to your bottom line and to your exit value. Yeah.
Wow, so many powerful insights. I can see our listeners making notes, Nicola. It's really valuable what you're sharing. And I love that you almost give the founders some stabilizers before they're like completely set free, because it's like you say, it's massive to lose that control that they've had and actually step into a new way of life. It is huge. So I love that you have a set plan for that to cater for every stage that feels comfortable for
Yeah,
the founder.
absolutely.
Would you be happy to share an example of a client that you've worked with and how they've put some redesign in place and given themselves some founder freedom?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I have one client who I spoke to them, gosh, about 8 months ago now. They saw me speak on a stage and talking about delegation. And I was talking about how to delegate and the different types of delegation and trusting people enough to delegate to them. And they reached out to me and said, I have a team around me. I bought this business a couple of years ago. I have a team around me. I don't trust them. I can't delegate to them. I've worked really hard to try and make that the case. And it's just not happening. What do I do? Anyway, so we worked together for about 6 months and we looked at the team, we looked at the structure. We looked at actually what the business, where in the business it was actually making money. It was different elements of the business. And we looked at which parts of the business, which departments, so to speak, were generating profit, which weren't profitable, which ones were causing the most headaches, and where the ROI was within the business. And then we've sort of looked at the team. And sometimes you do have to make really difficult decisions, and it's not anything anybody ever wants to do. But sometimes you do have to acknowledge that actually this part of the business isn't viable, and that these people in the business here they really aren't a good fit for the business, and they aren't what the business needs now. The business has changed. And this particular founder, there was a lot of conflict in their business as well. And so, with all the right advice, HR advice, and they set about restructuring the people in the business. And the key thing here is that the founder, quite a young family, And, part of the reason he bought this business, he'd come out of the city, bought a business, wanted to spend more time at home, more time with his younger family. And actually, he was working more hours than ever before and earning less than ever before because the bottom line, the profits weren't there because it was getting eaten up in the parts of the business where it wasn't really profitable, wasn't viable. So it was really difficult for him, but we did it in the right way. We treated people fairly, treated people right. We restructured, we said goodbye to some people, and we set about recruiting to fill the new roles that the business needed to take it in the new direction. And focusing on the parts of the business that could grow. And so we did that. And so over the course of sort of 6 months, we rebuilt the team. And that team is now at a point where they function without him. They are a really happy team. He sent me a photograph of himself on holiday in Spain with his sons on a golf course, which is lovely. And he's travelled a couple of times since with his family, been able to spend more time with them. He's just taken half term off, and he's got that kind of freedom. It's still really busy. There's still more things to do. They're currently looking at relocating to new premises as well because the business is starting to grow now, and they're bringing on more people into that team. But one of the key hires he made was kind of somebody to take on that sort of the day-to-day supporting of him. An EA business manager type role, somebody that could really support him into the skin of the business and that he can trust, somebody he can lean on, somebody that, he can delegate to. And that's been an absolute game changer because she's come in and she's put processes and systems in place so that everybody knows what needs to happen. And they're set up now well to scale. And that's a lovely story because to get to a point where you actually get a picture of somebody actually doing the things that really matter to them, that's what matters. That really does matter. But that all comes from actually making some really brave decisions, stopping, pausing, really analysing what your business is and making some really brave decisions. It's never nice to say goodbye to people, but if you do it in the right way, it's generally the right thing for them and certainly for the business.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. I can only imagine the feeling of fulfillment for both of you in the moment when you received that
Absolutely.
photograph. And
Absolutely.
goes back to what you were saying at the start about what is the life that you actually want to live. And it sounds like that is a perfect example of the incredible work that you do. And I can imagine that he was just eternally grateful to have those memories with his family that you can't put a price on.
Absolutely. They're there for a moment, aren't they? If it's because you want to spend more time with your children, they grow up so quickly. Your time, you can't get that time back. And if it's, it might not be you want to spend time, it might be you want to travel. I've got one client whose biggest desire at the moment is he wants to travel. He's bought a camper van, wants to go around Europe, and it's like to do that he needs visibility so he can trust his team that when he's not there things will continue to work, and that's what we're working on at the moment. But I love getting those photographs of people living the life they want to live because the business has enabled them to do that. That's really rewarding. And really
Amazing. And
special.
that's the definition of founder freedom.
Oh, totally. I think so anyway. I think so. Yeah.
Nicola, before we wrap up and ask people where they can find you, I would
Mhm.
love to give our listeners an insight into a conversation that we had before we started recording the podcast about the power of podcasts. And
Mhm.
you shared a brilliant example of repurposing one short clip from a recent podcast appearance. What did you do with that clip and what happened as a result?
Yeah, sure. So I went on a podcast recently. It was really good, and I got to. It was a long one, and from it, a number of shorts were produced, and I just took one short and sort of shared it on my LinkedIn to promote the podcast and to kind of promote what I was talking about, really, to kind of to help out the podcast host to kind of share what I'd been on and to sort of share a clip of something I thought would be really helpful to my audience on LinkedIn. And it did quite well. And I thought, oh, this is great. I'm glad this is helping people and that they're finding some value in this. And that for me actually is a really key thing. I really care about giving value in anything I do. I want to provide value. If I'm speaking, if I'm on a podcast, if I'm with a client, that's what matters to me. It's like a value of mine is value. Making sure I do that. And I just thought, well, it's a really good clip that adds value to people. Hopefully they can take something from it and implement it in their business. And it got quite a little bit of traction. I thought, oh, great. Oh, lovely. And then, LinkedIn does what it does and suggested I might like to boost it. And I thought, I've never boosted anything before, but actually I think could be helpful to people. I'll boost it. And so for a small amount of money, I thought I'll give it a boost. I'll see what that does, what happens. And so I did that. And within 4 days, we'd got to like almost 20,000 impressions on it. And I was like, wow, okay, that's great. I'm so glad that so many people stopped, paused, and watched it and found, hopefully found some value in it. So I think it just goes to show really the power of podcasts is really important. It's an opportunity to share your expertise, share your learning, share your experiences so that you can provide value to other people. And so, yes, people can get to know you. They can get to find out about your business. We all want to kind of grow our businesses and promote our businesses. But I think it's far more important that we kind of come into it with a mindset of like, what can I share with people? How can I help people? What can I tell you that could be helpful to you in your business that you can take and implement today? And I think that's where, podcasts can be really powerful. And, when you use the shorts from your podcast to share those tips and learnings, I think that can be really valuable too. And we were talking at the beginning, weren't we? I think my next plan is to put some more of these shorts onto a YouTube channel so that if people want to come and find things that they can implement in their business to try and help them find that founder freedom, that they can do that. They can help themselves to do that. Or if they want further help, then I'm of course here to help them too. So
Amazing. So
I
a
definitely recommend that.
7-second clip turned
Yeah.
into almost 20,000 views. So what would you say
Yeah,
to someone
absolutely.
it's incredible. And what would you say to someone who is judging podcast opportunities purely by the audience
I
size
think
of
that,
that
yeah,
podcast? Mhm.
I think that's the wrong way to look at it. To be honest, I rarely look at the podcast audio. I rarely look at the number of followers if I accept a podcast booking. For me, it's more about what are they talking about? Does it resonate with me? Let me have a look at some of the other episodes. Has it been useful for me? Have I learned something? If I've learned something and I feel I've got something I can add, then that I think is a good podcast to be on. I don't think it should be necessarily about the number of followers. Don't chase that. Chase where your audience are and how you can help, and then it'll come back to you, I'm sure. And I think that's much more important. And that post I put out, it resulted in quite a lot more followers and quite a lot more connections. Has it resulted in any direct business? Not at the moment, but that's not what it's for. It's about me sharing learnings, about me building credibility, about making more connections. And I think, I love making connections and I love connecting people. And I think, if you can connect people and help people on their journey by putting them in touch with somebody else or teaching them something or sharing something, then it all comes back round to you. And I think, I think that's quite important, really.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing such a powerful example. And I would love to ask, Nicola, how can people contact you if they would like to connect?
Yeah, absolutely. Find me on LinkedIn, Nicola Anderson on LinkedIn. And my business is Capacity to Grow. So you can Google Capacity to Grow or you can ask AI now. But it's www.capacitytogrow.com. Find me there and you'll find all my links on there. Or come find me on LinkedIn and let me know you listen to this podcast and let's connect.
Amazing. We will share your links underneath this episode, and we are really looking forward to continuing working together at Podcast Guesting Pro. So thank you so much for your time today, Nicola.
Thank you, Cassie. It's been great.
Thank you. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, everyone.